Okay, so as a team, I think one of the things we agreed on, Richard, was that the concept of getting to know an individual in the team one layer deeper was something very valuable in order to lead.
As a team of leaders, how do you lead in a group of leaders? Because you've got 6 strong minds in a group, and do you expect people to stand up and assume leadership?
Certainly in our team, we had strong personalities in our team, and we found and realized very, very quickly through an assessment process that we needed to actually become better followers than leaders as a team, and that ultimately was one of the reasons why we worked quite well as a team and we enjoyed the experience.
What we did quite early on in the process is we did like a deliberate assessment of what our strengths are as a team. And then based on that, that whole fluid leadership role just worked, because then when there was a task that required a more process mind or more analytical mind, we already knew who would naturally be the leader and run with that piece of work. And just identify everyone's strength in the team, not just, those who are more vocal or more extroverted, and then leverage all of them.
So the accountability aspect is, how do you as a group of leaders hold each other accountable, one on the deliverables, on what needs to be done, and that overlaid with, the courage to have difficult conversations.
So what typically happens is, if you don't have the courage or learn the skills to keep people accountable, you tend to take on quite a lot on yourself, and that limits both you and the counterparty.
So when you pick your group, you want to actually pick the people that have the right attributes for whatever it is you're going into.
I think maybe what I will take, and maybe what we can all take, is that when you go back to the workplace, that's what you do. Whatever discussion or whatever you do, just have something, have milestones, have that reminder, put everything on paper. I think it makes it, the visual, effect makes it very important and for you to remember.
How great the Head, Heart and Hands tool was and how much we enjoyed that. I speak for myself, I've been on a really good journey in terms of understanding or getting to that point of being able to inspire people and engage the heart, and to the extent that people are doing it for themselves.
The one thing that we didn't capitalize on was that we had an extensive knowledge base of individuals with various leadership perspectives. We could have easily mitigated some of the issues within the group work had we understood that we could have gone to somebody else to mediate independently. And we had never ever approached each other to say, this is the issue, our group is actually struggling, can we ask you as an independent mediator to mediate with us and help us facilitate and resolve? Because when you are in that process, you are very close to it.
And to admit a weakness or development area, it's really difficult, And I'm still reflecting on it, and I'm still not, I don't think that's something I'm ever going to change in myself, but I will have to always work on that space and always be aware that I need to develop that space. So that asking for help or admitting vulnerability or whatever that is, it's that in itself is a leadership journey, I think.
Individually, we've all learned from everybody else in terms of leadership, and different traits.
Because to call somebody to order, it's not an easy thing. And at work, what we tend to do is, in order to be seen as a nice person, a nice boss and stuff, you tend to actually just skate over certain issues, and that's what eventually results in poor productivity and non-delivery and so forth.
I think what I've learned from my team is that you stick to the facts. Don't let emotions sort of like determine your next decision or what the solution is going to be.
It's not a big thing that's out there, okay, we're going to sit down and evaluate. It can happen in your head where you're sitting in a meeting room. So it's very much behind the scenes, but a very critical aspect to leadership.
For me, what really helped me during the course was actually doing that time shift hunt as part of the leadership quest. So after obviously making that shift of the time, I really saw that I was actually able to do more work in the same amount of time that I actually had before.
I've had my direct reports are really loving it, because then the power that they didn't have has been given over to them. Although there's some limitations, but there is quite that feeling of belonging and and of being acknowledged that at least somebody trusts that I can do something. And it's working quite well.
I've found that in the workspace now, it's been quite liberating to be able to speak from first-hand experience around this global world that we live in, especially in particular the business in which I operate. So it's been really useful now to see and absolutely talk from, solid experience around how things work around the world. And that's certainly made me more effective day to day. It's been really, really useful to take that back to South Africa and actually go, well, guys, this is what's happening around the world. And actually, yes, no, maybe, possibly, let's think about this.
So for me, what I've seen myself doing a little bit more is challenging, the more traditional, conventional ways of thinking in my business and doing things, which I don't think I previously kind of didn't consider or think about. But the point you make around, getting the global perspective and then coming back and being able to talk to something tangible.
You need to know your facts. You can't go in and do something without having your ducks in a row and having done research. And that's for environments in the workplace as well. You need to know your facts. Be prepared when you go to meetings, when you go for sessions, when you do proposals. Make sure you've done everything possible. So those were just the key learnings for me.
The storytelling part for me has become a very powerful tool. And the learnings that Peter taught us around how to tell an effective story to get the right impact, but also to coach people as far as storytelling is concerned, how to encourage them and get them to tell their stories, has become a very powerful tool.
I think the Leadership Quest coaching has been exceptional. For us, we had Maurice as the coach, and she's superb. Superb in holding us accountable and making sure we deliver on what we said we would. But also just in conversation, she's brutally honest. Which makes you reflect on where you are and what it is that you need to do and what you said you're going to do. So the personal coaching journey has been really good, and just good in articulating what it is that you want to achieve and how you're going to get there.
Specifically in the UK, where the guys could talk to us about what the environment of financial services in Africa was like. And we were sitting there with surprised looks on our faces, not knowing what's going on our own continent. So I think that awareness aspect is very important. The other thing for me that I've practically done at work is human capital development. So that lecture was very interesting for me. The quality of the candidates that we've brought on is so much higher just by changing a few things in how we've recruited and selected these guys.
After listening to the lecture, it was more like, do we really innovate for the customer or do we innovate for ourselves? So for me, that was such an eye-opener that, you know what, a disruptor will come because they will see you're not delivering for your end customer, but you're making innovations internally.
So in South Africa, we obviously don't have it to that extent, but something that has certainly got me thinking is we definitely product focus and bottom line focus as well. We definitely, not in our bank, are customer focused and customer centric. And that is definitely something that we will have to start to look at as banks.
The program initially, when we started, some of the initial modules that gave me a bit of confidence to effect a pretty big strategic change in my business unit that I look after.
If I think of the multi-sensory approach we're using and the digital stuff that we're doing, it does come fundamentally out of what I've learned at the IEDP.
I think the skills that we've learned will help us wherever we are.
And part of today, what we need to present is we got buy-in from different executives across the bank, and we're going to expand analytical capability, and it's probably going to be increasing headcount by about 30 to 40% to support those different roles. So I think previously, before I went on the course, it was very much, okay, this would be nice, this is interesting, this is cool. All these modules and also interacting with the people here, I think that's been one of my biggest learnings is just to experience different cultures, different people, different personalities.
The new head of HR decided that they're going to set up a new forum. We're meeting next week, and she asked me to come and join in because the CEO said he thinks I will add a lot of value.
So I took the whole idea of learning design and immersion, and I took it into the rewards business, and we designed an immersion experience for the entire loyalty team for ABSA. And we got them into the forefront of the relationship, doing mystery shopping and walking around with their partners and things. And it spurred such a great, there was so much of feedback that we've now been briefed on our design team to bring immersion in full on as a tool for learning and for creating capability. And we now had absolute evidence and proof, so we went back and we reviewed SLAs, etc. And they've hit one of the highest production targets that they've hit in the last 3 years because they've redirected capacity and helped shift that team.
And I think what this process did for me, and I guess speaking more to the leadership quest, is I had to sit down and deliberate over what it is I wanted to see happen over the next couple of months. I think if I hadn't had the process, I would really still be struggling in the role.
I suppose the program gave me the confidence and maybe equipped me with some of the refined tools that I needed to actually make the big change a success.